Heidi ho, Merry Friday! What is up? And it's so wonderful to see our beloved dragon here. My God, I know you've been busy as shit. You warned us like 3 months ago or something. Like, what is my life? It is being covered in books. All right, cool. Yo, what is up? G'day, g'day. Happy Friday. How's your weekend looking? You know how mine's looking? It's looking like 48 hours-ish. Give or take, depending on how awake I am during them, I suppose. Something like that. Yes. Well, what's up with you guys? Just occurred to me I should probably push that little button there. That's what I should do. Yes, it is. Alright. So yeah, let me see. What have I got coming this weekend? Nothing. Is doing the school thing. Of course. Of course. Well, hey, maybe you can learn by osmosis today. A couple things. Because, yeah, we actually got us, you know, a topic and shit today. It's not quite the same one that I promised on Wednesday because it turns out that the data that I was looking for, I was paywalled from. So, which is all, that's all fine and well. Yeah, I just found something somewhat related, so whatever. It's all good. It is all good. I can't break through the paywalls all the time. I try. It doesn't always work though, and I don't know why I'm feeling tired today. Ugh, my screws today. Yeah, I really did not want to get out of bed today. And like, I went to bed at a reasonable-ish asterisk time for me. So, I don't know. I think maybe I just didn't sleep very well because my shoulder's still all jarred. Perhaps, potentially. Maybe. Sort of. Makes sense to me. Anywho. And I see the pain in the asses here, of course. Couldn't have a day go by without our little PETA in the house. And Gothic, what are you up to? All of the Timberborn things? You had, and I'm assuming that means an hour and a half. How much did I even get? I think by the time I actually fell asleep was probably close to 4, I think. And then, fuck, I'm making myself tired thinking of like, don't do that. Yeah, I think it was up, off and on, like, all night / morning. And so, when did well, let me see, the home care guy got here at about 12:30. But I mean, besides, I was kind of like up and down, oh god, for at least 2 hours before that. Body certain because the temperature dropped. Yeah, that'll do it. That will absolutely do it. I know it does for me. Been able to play a few games the last few days, so yay me. Well, there you go. I've been meaning to get back into the one that, fuck off. I apologize if I'm making anybody else yawn. I was playing, what was it, Titan Station, and I kind of really got into that one. I've been wanting to get back to it because I'm at a spot where I have to solve some puzzles and stuff. I ended up stopping at that point because it was really late the one day. I'm like, yeah, maybe I should, you know, go to bed or something. Could you stop yawning? Ugh. Fuck. More coffee, that's what I need. Coffee. 11 feels like 9. I did not even check what ours is today. Ours is alright today. 22. So nice and comfy for me. Very comfy for me. So yeah. There we are. And Geeky Girl, what have you been up to? And I see Mama snuck in. Trying to sneak your way on in. Squirrel launcher. I've heard a squirrel with a gun, but not squirrel launcher. Do we stop? Alright, let me see this. Squirrel, oh, it's a free game too. Ah, that was unnecessarily loud in my ears. I always have to chuckle when I come across these games, and not only is like the image on their Steam page, but also a lot of the text in the promo for it is all done in like Comic Sans / MS Paint. Obliterate everything in your way. Okay, that does look interesting. Work with a bird and a squirrel. Yeah, no wonder it's free. It looks like there's a lot of like... Well, it looks like it was done in MS Paint. Yeah, you know, that might be worth a look. Will I add that to my library? Sure, why not? It looks like it could be kind of funny. Oh, sure, what the hell? Fuck's sake! Ugh. I don't know why I'm yawning. Should not be yawning that much. Like, I get it, my body hates me, but wow. I did find it. Just because it looks like it was done in MS Paint does not mean that it's not necessarily entertaining. So there's that. Alrighty, well, shall I tell you about the topic that we do have today? Yes, I shall, in a moment. First, I'll let you know that I may have put a surprise on the Patreon for those of you that have access to the music. I'll leave it at that for right now. It's Friday. Supplies! Alright, what are we going to talk about today for the topic? The title may be a little bit misleading. Sorry, I didn't quite mean for it to be that way. The source for today, which on Twitch, pinned up at the top, Facebook and YouTube, they are going to be in the description. This comes from a journal that came out within the last week. It's a paper put into the Journal of Autism and Developmental Disorders. It is called, you ready for this? A multimodal investigation of flexibility and socialization in autistic children with or without ADHD. Gesundheit. That just occurred to me, I forgot to take a couple of my meds today, too. I grabbed a couple earlier, but I forgot to get the rest of them. Anyway, so yeah, this is a paper that just came out last week, or within the last week, rather. And I thought it was kind of intriguing, so I scooped her up, and I had Claude break down the parts that I didn't quite understand. And yeah, it seems kind of intriguing. So for those of us, not only with autism, but also who have got little brats with autism, or maybe have a bit of nostalgia for our younger years when you know, we were treated so perfectly and fairly in this society that loves us disabled people so much. One sec. There we go. All right. So hopefully, I had to have Claude go extra, you know, read it to me like I'm 12 on this one in some cases. So if anybody gets lost, speak up. I'll try and find what I can. Pills. There we go. Oh, before we get into that, Dragon, just to pick on you for a second, what is it that you are studying right now, or what is it that you're working on right now? The words are not coming out in the way that I want them to come out. Hopefully you know what I'm trying to say. I assume you will, because you are not dumb. What's the stuff that you're working on today? There we go. That'll be closer. We'll call that close. Oh, and for those that are following my kid and her streaming adventures, she's decided that she's going to add Thursday evenings to the roster. She's mixing stuff up. She's going to play Hollow Knight on Thursdays, and she's going to play Deltarune tomorrow. Yeah, that should be interesting. Woke up from a nap. Well, I'm glad that you had a nap. Going to try and refrain from thinking about that word too hard, because I've been yawning my ass off for the first 10 minutes here. And how was your nap? I hope it was good for you. Naps are delightful. Too hot. Yeah, no shit. Yeah, you guys have been getting pelted with that heat out there. Which is kind of insane. Oh well. Hopefully you guys get a little bit of reprieve from that. Grab one before 3. That was a good call. Yeah, my nap was continuing from last night. Or this morning. It rained but made it worse. Yeah, just added to the humidity. Just made it from like living in soup to living in piss warm soup. I'm guessing. It's atrocious. Yeah, I guess you would be right in the middle of that great big heat dome or whatever the hell it is. Whatever they're referring to it as. It's like bath water. It's like being in a hot tub that has been unplugged for 6 hours. Still has a bit of the residual heat, but it's like at that perfect temperature where you feel like you just pissed yourself. Sorry, I guess I'm going a little bit far on that one. We'll back off now. That's what we'll do. You guys mind if I get off on a rant here first before we get into this? So, last night, Nadia was there for this, and so was, who else was all there? Angie was there, and a couple others. It was 41? Ugh. You're out of line, but not wrong. The description was on point then. Excellent. Authenticata! Oh yeah, Bus and Jay, that's right. That is right. So yeah, I stumbled across, as I was going through like some Facebook stats and whatnot, which I'm not the numbers guy. Shoost is the numbers guy, but Shoost has been like busy as fuck as of late, right? So I've been trying not to pester him with anything, because you know he's got a life of his own and shit and family and stuff. So I've been trying to like, you know, get a little bit more into like the back end and the numbers and stuff like that, because it's not my forte. But so I was doing that, and I happened to stumble across a couple of pages where it was just, you guys know how much I love misinformation and things that are, shall we say, worded deceptively. We'll do that. I haven't put the video up yet. I meant to, and then I'm like, nah, I'll just save it for later. But yeah, I came across a couple of pages where they were just, it was just dripping with misinformation. One of the ones that stuck in my head was, and I remember this from like 5 years ago when there was a big thing about autistics with it, but this time it was about ADHDers. And the question was, and before I'll ask I'll say what the post was. I want to get your guys' take on it, okay, before I add where I went with it. But the post that was made was, why do ADHD people sleep with their wrists all bent up? Take it away. I'll let you guys go with that one for a minute. Yeah, that was it. That was the post / question. Why do ADHD people sleep with their wrists all bent up? That was the question. Now, sometimes I have no idea. Do you guys remember that have been around for the long haul? About 5 years ago, there was a big thing in the autistic community where there was the the comparison to like T-Rex, the T-Rex arms kind of thing, right? And it was just kind of like, well, that's an autistic thing. Okay, so what you're saying is, what I read last night was, that's now an ADHD thing, where you sleep like this, whatever, with your wrists all bent up. Okay, how about this? How many of you do it? Give me a 1. How many of you do not do it? Give me a 2. Because it's comfortable? Why are they coming at me, brain? Okay. Okay. So most of those here do it. All right. So my reply, never thought about my wrist placement, right? It's not something that, pops to the forefront of your mind when you think, well, what are the traits that I exhibit? I'll often wake up in T-Rex mode. Sometimes I do too, but it depends, because especially as of late with my shoulder being all jarred and out of wherever the fuck happened to it, I find I'm kind of sleeping in a very weird position now. But so again, the question was asked, why do ADHD people sleep with their wrists all bent up? I'm gay, so yeah, that's one reason. But yeah, that was the question. Why do ADHD people sleep with their wrists all bent up like that? My response was, for the same reason that non-ADHD people sleep with their wrists all bent up like that. And then somebody actually, okay, fuck it, I'm gonna pull it up. Now I'm gonna have to look for it, just so that I'm not misquoting myself here. Okay, I am not sharing the name of the page because they don't deserve the cred. Why do people with ADHD sleep with their wrists bent? My reply, for the same reason people without ADHD do. I'm not wrong. The question that I was asked, what is the reason, please? So I went further into it. I said, there isn't. That's the point. This premise is misinformation. Some people do it, some people don't, but there is no reliable scientific information that supports the idea that ADHD people sleep with bent wrists. Just like there is no 100% solid, confirmable information that all autistic people do the T-Rex. Some do, some don't, Some non-autistics do it. There is no solid fucking data that says that's a thing. Thanks for your reply. Okay, this is new. Thanks for your reply. I like facts. Life can be confusing. We need more straight talkers. Well, I appreciate that. So, I will in just a second. I don't know who shared that one. Sandra, I will have a sip of my iced coffee in just 1 second here. Because we evolved from chickens. There you go. I don't T-Rex and I have autism, so yeah. For me, it's a comfort thing. There you go. Gotta run, set up, and get ready. Have a good. All right, Kay. Thanks for popping through. Bye. Yeah, I was pissed right the fuck off about that because, you know, I found more and more and more pages like that, and I'm just reminded that there are so many people that just post shit like this just for engagement. Now, whether it's rage bait engagement or whether it's, you know, they're just completely fucking ignorant. I'm looking. I see you. I see them there streets. Regardless, the point, you know, as always, is fucking do better. There you go. See, look at that. You're getting more eyes on you than... Well, hey, maybe that was just another rage bait engager, too. You never know. But yeah, you guys know how much I love misinformation. And people who intentionally dupe others in that kind of way. So yeah, I was pissed the fuck off about that. Yeah, I thought I'd share that. Anyway. As I blow away a whole bunch of time here. Alright, what are we going to talk about today? Again. Cute puns. Giggity. So, again, the source, YouTube and Facebook, it's in the description. Twitch, it's pinned at the top of the chat. From the Journal of Autism and Developmental Disorders. The paper is called A Multimodal Investigation of Flexibility and Socialization in Autistic Children with and Without ADHD. I know, that was a hell of a mouthful. It really was. So, flexible. What does that mean to you guys? Okay, someone tells a kid to just be more flexible. Which, I mean, that's a pretty vague statement in my mind. What does that actually mean? Like, not fighting a parent about a canceled trip, not needing the same show every night, being okay with the plan change at the last second. Like, when you hear somebody, if somebody was to say to you, you just need to be more flexible, what does that mean to you? Because there are, according to this paper, you're my best feature. According to this paper, okay, those are three completely different skills, all that use the same word, right? So the study proved that they don't really come from the same place in the brain. Means I test how well my hand flexes around your throat. Very flexible. Usually means use my better judgment. I have hypermobility. I am flexible. There you go. See, look at that. That was three completely different ones right there. You guys are paying attention. Anyway. But yeah, they don't come from the same place in the brain. And autism and ADHD don't fuck with them in the same way. So I put up a little glossary at the beginning for myself here because this is where I kept tripping over things. So these are things that you are going to hear me say today, and I'm just going to give definitions up front, and I kind of posted them here so that way they're easy for me to come back to. Okay, one of them is RRB, which is restrictive and repetitive behaviors, okay, which is one of the diagnostic criteria of autism. The fact that they had put RRB in there so often that I was forgetting what it meant and had to go back to the top of the paper and go, okay, no, that's what it is, right? I felt like a fucking fool by the end of it. So I'm going to try and do the full restrictive and repetitive behaviors, but I did shorthand it in my notes. So if I trip over it and I say RRB, that's what I mean. Okay. Strictly defined, for those that may not be in the know, it's the need to do things the exact same way every time. So the same route going to school, the same show on repeat, lining things up, needing warning before anything changes. It's one of the core features that doctors look at and diagnosticians when they are going for an autism diagnosis. Right, it is one of the core things behind autism. Daily flexibility, which would be how somebody handles changes like curveballs in day-to-day life. Plan changes, a rule shifts mid-conversation. Somebody brings up a new topic, things like that. Obviously, it's different from restrictive and repetitive behaviors because it's not about needing that sameness. It's more about how difficult enduring that switch is. Okay. Sometimes I'm good with it. Sometimes I'm not. Right. I'm pretty sure a lot of you could probably say the same thing. Cognitive flexibility. I mean, in and of itself, it sounds pretty straightforward. Literally, the brain's ability to switch between two ways of thinking about the same thing. I'm trying to. My example here was very poorly worded. Okay, so it's like sorting candies by color, and then suddenly having to sort them by shape instead. Scroll down. In this study, that one gets tested directly with computer tasks. I don't know why that got cut off. Anyway, not just by asking the parent of the child, it also got sorted with the help of a computer. Co-occurring. I'm sure a lot of you guys know what co-occurring means. That's when two things are present in the same person at the same time. So, for example, having ADHD and autism. They are co-occurring together. Why are my headphones fucking cutting out? Stop that. So yeah, it would mean a kid who has autism and ADHD versus a kid who is just autistic without it. I can handle a shift pretty quick, but in the moment, my face kind of makes a thing, my eyes do a thing, and the wife gets upset because she thinks it's an eye roll about her suggestion. That's a mood. That's very relatable. Socialization score is a standardized number that measures how well a kid handles social situations day to day based on caregiver questionnaire. So higher is generally considered stronger social functioning by the tool that is used. Not a judgment on the kid's worth, obviously, because that's not how we do things. So before we get into the data, which one of those three things hits you or your kid the hardest? If you do have an autistic kid. Elsbeth, hello. So again, those three things being the cognitive flexibility, the daily flexibility, and the restricted and repetitive behaviors. What's up? What's shaking? How's it going? How's you? How's things? Merry Friday. Let me see. For my kid, because she is very much repetitive, I don't know if I would be able to say how well her cognitive flexibility really is. I know what I think it is. But of course, because I see her on a day-to-day basis, especially now that it's summertime, her daily flexibility it's it's not terrible, but she does have some very, very rigid, that she adheres to very closely, routines, right? My brain decided we were going to be able to follow along that. The fucking audio processing, and I don't know, something just wouldn't let it click. About the what the different kinds of flexibility. It's been regimented to routines. The teeniest bit of variability. I know for me personally, it's something that I tend to, again, this would be situational because my wife is like all the fuck over the place and spontaneous and all of that all of the time, right? So I have a lot of trouble with some of that because I've got myself on a routine, right? So like if I'm making dinner for the family and she's like, I'm gonna go check out my friend's brand new house, you know, that they bought this week, and she did yesterday, and I'm not bitter about it. You know, part of my brain is this unnecessary, not keeping it. All right, fair enough. You know, my need for my routine, especially my need for talking to my partner at least once a day, sort practice at least once a week. Never noticed until after diagnosis. I mean, and that's fair because you think about it. Why would you notice, right? It's not something that you would really think about. And then once you're presented with the information and it's all laid out in front of you, and you have the ability to look back with that new lens, and you're like, oh God, right? Yeah, then you notice. Of course you do. But yeah, in my case, in my mind at least, you know, there's a routine to things, right? A lot of times we run by the clock around here. At certain times are certain things. And if those things are disrupted, then yeah, that's hard on my system. And I have a lot of trouble dealing with that. You know, I have trouble handling that. But if there was a routine, I was better. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of us are, you know, very adherent to the routines and structures that we have laid out. And even before diagnosis, there are many of us who did manage to work ourselves into routines because it was more comfortable, right? We worked ourselves into these coping methods, which, you know, turned out to be routines and you know, running by the clock. It made the brain happy. So that's what we settled into. Did we know why we were doing it? No, not necessarily. But then once you're presented with all of that information afterwards, and then you can go, oh God, now I know why. I was in the air cadet, visited the RF stations, thrived on the routine of it. There you go. You are. Usually bullied by autism, we do accepting there's not going to be a time-based routine, just do whatever when we do it. And you see, I think mine did that too for the longest time, right up until, hey, look, good meds. Now it's finally kind of under control. And yeah, then the autism goes, hi-ho. And lo and behold, the Muppet Show in my mind was born. Because that's just what's going to happen. Seems like it would be nice. I mean, the fact that for the most part I can kind of stick to mine around here is nice. It's just when that curveball is thrown, and then, you know, that curveball ends up rolling down the fucking bowling alley and knocking down every pin in the alley. When shit like that happens, it's not so much fun. But what art thou going to do? Know what I mean? Know what I mean. Definitely bully autism. The routine is a general time, not a set time. So long as I've got a somewhat... So long as I've got a timeline, something that I can look at and kind of have a good ballpark of an idea, right? It doesn't need to be to the minute, necessarily. When I was taking my kid to school, it did. But it doesn't necessarily need to be to the minute. Do I try and get it as close to it as I can? Yeah, I hate to admit that I do. Oops. I think I used to have a routine more or less. Before I had kids, I feel like I had to give that up because of the kids. Well, kids are something that could absolutely fuck with your timeline, your routines, and all that. Everything to do, I'm stuck focused on that thing until it happens. 10 minutes early, I'm late. Sounds like you're talking about waiting mode, or idle mode, or however you wish to refer to it. But yeah, that's something that can totally play into the stringent routines. Alright, well, since I did babble my ass off for the first little bit here, and sorry I took away from a bit of that, looks like we have approached the first self-care break quicker than I was anticipating. But that's fine, because we can get right back into the meat and taters of it right after it. Remember routine of sorts, and then also getting very upset over that routine constantly being interrupted. No kidding. I have some maybe lovely news about me. Give her. Let's hear it. We need to know. Especially if it's lovely news. Because that's the best kind of news. Morning routine. It's good to explain bullying into getting up, taking energy drinks, and then ready for the day. Yeah, that part of my day, not so much routine. I saved 5 people from a fire. Holy shit. For real? That's pretty awesome. You're a fucking hero. How did you manage that? That's cool. Sorry, I'm kind of mind blown there. I'll give you the opportunity to explain and tell us the story while we partake in our very first self-care break of the day. So, as for the rest of you, grab some water, grab a snack, and right after that, we will get back into the meat and potatoes of the study, which is who was in this study and how they tested it. There was a house fire of my boxers. Waking up, an next door neighbor, house on fire. Hot damn. Please, give us the big details of the story here. And we shall be right back.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Refill.
Feel it now. Put it all down. On the floor. On the floor. Put it all down. On the floor. Down, 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 down. On the floor. On the floor. On the floor. On the floor. Put it on the floor. On the floor. Put it on the floor. On the floor. Put it all down. Feel it now, feel it now. Put it all down. On the floor.
All right, iced coffee, recovered. Very good, very happy. Sweet. Okay, I have a somewhat video. Well, hang on to that. That's gold. Absolutely hang on to that. I'd be cherishing that fucking thing. 100% I would. Are you charged? Yes, you are. Yay! Alright, cool. Okie dokie. Hope you guys were able to grab yourself some, drink of water, grab a snack, hit the bathroom if you need it, do all the things. Now we're going to get back into who was in this study and how they tested it. So the kids that they used in this study, they all came from something called the Geneva Autism Cohort. So that just means it was a group of families in Geneva, Switzerland, obviously, who agreed to be studied over time as their kids grew up. The researchers checked in on them repeatedly instead of just once. It was 124 kids in total, aged 6 to 12, and they were split into 3 groups. 39 kids with no autism, no ADHD, the comparison group called the typical developing, or they called it TD. I thought it was already the Discord, but it wasn't. Well, if you need the link to it, it just popped up as soon as you said the word Discord. Alright, 39 kids with no autism, no ADHD, 52 autistic kids, and 33 kids who were the AuDHDs. So just a quick little sidebar for you guys. I don't know if you noticed that the AuDHD kids was the smallest group of only 33 kids. It was 52 autistics and 39 that had none of the above. Just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. The smaller groups are harder to draw firm conclusions from, and yeah, we'll touch on that later. But how they measured everything was the restrictive repetitive behaviors were measured with a questionnaire that the parents filled out. I don't care what it was called. I wrote it down, but it doesn't matter. If you want more information, it's in the study itself. Anyway, point is the parents filled out the questionnaire. They rated things like needs to play the same games the same way on a scale from never to very, right? That kind of thing. Do you think you could bump the volume of music down a smidge? Yeah, I can, absolutely. I can, so. But in particular, distracting. Okay. Oh, that's cool. I got no problem, you know, adjusting the volume as need be. Anyway, so it was a scale from like never to very. Seems pretty straightforward. Daily flexibility was measured with something called the brief. Another parent questionnaire. This one was asking about everyday things like gets very upset by changes in plans or gets stuck on one topic. Feels like I have read this study. Checks like, oh yes, have you read this study before? How? It only came out last week. Unless you're stealing the same resources that I have. Word grade day? It happens. Or was it that you were included in the study and didn't tell us, you little shit? Anyway, so they measured daily flexibility. They measured cognitive flexibility, which was the only piece not based on a parent's opinion. The kids played 3 different computer games on an iPad, and the research timed and scored how well they could switch strategies mid-game. Right, we'll touch on that in a minute because the details tend to matter a little bit. Researching something the other day and you came across this one. That's funny. And socialization was measured with a tool called the Vineland. It was a caregiver reported measurement of how a kid handles social situations in real life. Also known as they tortured the poor fucking child. I'm kidding. Or am I? One more thing worth pointing out here, because it protects how we read everything else, is that the autistic kids in both groups scored lower on IQ tests than the comparative group. I wasn't 100% sure why they did it that way. The research accounted for it in how they interpreted the results. But it's a piece of context that is not something that should be glossed over, right? I think it's important to point that out. They have ways of waking your dog, Mr. ADHD. So, have any of you guys ever experienced cognitive tests like this, either for yourself or for your kid? Anything like that? When you were getting your kids assessed, if and when? Did you ever have to go through any tests like this? I was not in the room when Jason was getting her assessments done, so I don't remember. Yeah, I told you rabbit hole, yeah. I don't remember if Jason had undergone any of these. I mean, even if I was there, I don't trust myself to remember nowadays anyway, but... I know that she did do a lot of like games and tests and things like that with the therapist / diagnostician that she was dealing with. All right, let us look at some of the findings while any of you share your info there. Finding number 1. The restricted and repetitive behaviors don't get worse when ADHD is also present. One of the things they find. So the need for sameness, the need for those routines, it has to be exactly like this behaviors, right? Both autistic groups scored higher on the restricted repetitive behaviors. Sorry, I saw Papa. I saw your chat type and it fucking threw me off what I was reading there. Just got in, but I had cognitive tests as a child, part of dealing with me, not sure. It was before or after diagnosis, roughly 6 to 9. Okay. The only thing I remember is the doctor's name. Fair enough. Fair enough. And yeah, you may just be getting in, but you're getting in right at the beginning, so, or at least the beginning of the information. All right, where was I? Okay, so both the autistic groups scored higher on the restricted repetitive behaviors than the non-autistic comparison group. Not really a surprise. I mean, it's a defining feature of autism, so of course they scored higher. But so here's the actual finding, is that the AuDHD group did not score higher on the restricted repetitive behaviors than the autism only group. Adding ADHD into the mix did not make the sameness seeking behaviors any stronger. I don't think maybe do IQ test stuff back at school while they were trying to figure out what to do with me, because scoring 95% on every test but still failing classes. Fucking mood. Because when turning in classwork and homework and stuff, it sounds like my kid. Tried putting me into the gifted program to challenge me, but I still found those classes boring. The kids in those classes kind of pissed that I was there, getting bullied by nerds. It's almost worse than getting bullied by jocks and prep. Yeah, because the nerds are better at... it's not so much physical as it is mental and emotional. In my humblest of opinions. But yeah, I ended up having to do a lot of that when it's like the younger I was, the more advanced classes that I was in, right up until I just got tired of doing it and then said to hell with it all. So I could kind of relate to that. Nerds are better at name calling by a country mile. Yep. And that's why they used to call me the verbal mental assassin. Anyway. Because I could verbally destroy somebody so badly because they had no idea what I was saying, because they were too dumb to follow it. And everybody else in the room was like, oh, fuck. That's what we called you to your face. Whatever. I mean, you know, the secret got out anyway, so it wasn't a big deal. I was over it. Anyway. So, getting back to this, if you pictured ADHD as an amplifier that turned autistic traits up louder, the finding says no. At least for this specific trait, anyway. The restricted repetitive behaviors seem to be, they seem to be driven specifically by autism. And ADHD riding alongside doesn't really add any fuel to that particular fire, if you know what I mean. It's just kind of like, it's there. So, I'll give you a little bit better an example. 2 kids, both autistic, one has ADHD, one doesn't. The study says you'd expect them to need the same amount of sameness, routine, and predictability. The ADHD isn't the reason one of them needs it more. So there's that. And that kind of pushes back on the idea that AuDHD automatically means worse autism. It means specific things are harder and other things stay exactly the same as if they had autism alone. Right? And remember, article I put up a couple of weeks ago that kind of pointed that they're starting to look at AuDHD more as its own neurotype nowadays anyway. So for those of us who are doubly blessed, have got the combo meal, i.e. the AuDHD folks, does that match your experience? Is that something you find? That having the ADHD alongside autism actually changes how much you need your routines? Or does it feel like that part is steady regardless? What do you think? I think I've always found that routines have been a very big thing for me. I just couldn't really name why. But in hindsight, guess it kind of makes sense. Yours came with fries. Was it supersized though? Sorry, I want more coffee. Today's flavor of iced coffee, mocha. Num num num. While I wait on a couple of people, just going to point out the again, those of you who are the patrons who have access to the music stuff. Surprise for you today. If you do follow along with my music therapy, and if you did get a chance to listen to the not live concert, I extended it by 45 minutes. So it's up over 3 hours long now. You all now have access to that. Hey, I added a 45-minute long chunk of 7 new tracks and 2 remixes into the live concert. Routines were a must. I even had to make my own paths in the snow while delivering new papers. I couldn't deviate for a less snowy route. Not my fault. I mean, you did contribute. Yeah, you definitely played a part in that. Yeah, I find that it kind of varied. For me, it was circumstantial. I think it depended on what it was. There were a lot of times where I, in hindsight, looking at it a little more objectively, yeah, there were times, like literal times on the clock, or specific directions, ways that I had to travel, things like that. There were things that, yeah, I absolutely had to adhere to all the fucking time. And there were some things where there was a little bit more give and take. But again, I think it was circumstantial. I think it depended on how big a part of my day it played, right? So we were talking things like, you know, dinner times or things that were... I never realized how literal I took things looking back at my days working in the clubs, where I actually had, like, they told me we want this percent of this music, this percent of that, and this percent of that. And I actually had it broken down into minutes worth. I would play this many minutes of this many minutes of that, and I would try to adhere as closely to that pattern as I possibly could. And I didn't notice that until I looked back on that. And it was very interesting to have that realization, you know, like 20, 25 years later. Or I would do a genre switch at the top of the hour, right? Like literal clockwork, right? 11 o'clock rolled around. Okay, we're going from this to that. Or, you know, by the end of the song, within that, you know, 1-2 minute margin kind of thing, right? But it had to be like literal clockwork. It was definitely interesting to look back on and go, okay, wow, you really were rigid when it came to the routines, weren't ya? Yeah. All right, finding number 2, daily flexibility, which is where the ADHD actually adds a lot of weight. So the opposite pattern shows up here. So remember, the daily flexibility is about handling regular curveballs, not the need for the sameness specifically. This time there's a very clear staircase here. Typically developing kids, which was the no ADHD, no autism, they had the least difficulty, obviously. Autistic kids without ADHD had more difficulty than that, obviously. Autistic kids with ADHD had the most difficulty of all 3 groups. This is what the research called an additive pattern. I don't have a routine. Also me, got to do this and this and this. Yeah. I don't have routines. By the way, what time is it? Because I have to do this exact thing at this exact time. So yeah, that's what the research were calling the additive pattern. Autism brings some difficulty on its own. ADHD adds more difficulty on top of it. Now, unlike the restricted repetitive behaviors, this domain actually does get harder when both conditions are present together. So more of a concrete example is if you think about a kid who's fine with their bedtime routine never changing, a restricted repetitive behavior piece, and ADHD doesn't change how much that time matters to them. But who completely falls apart when their friend cancels last minute, or a teacher changes an assignment with no warning, which that's the daily flexibility. That's where ADHD makes things noticeably more difficult. So to translate this to parents and the self-advocates and whatnot, if you or your kid seem totally fine with rigid routines, but absolutely cannot handle the last-minute changes to any plans, those might genuinely be 2 separate systems in the brain, not one flexibility problem. One is steady regardless of ADHD or not. The other gets specifically harder because of it. So which one do you think describes you better? I need my routine exact, but random changes don't wreck me? Or routines don't matter much to me, but sudden changes actually do? Making you fucking think now. Which one do I fall under? I'm kind of feeling stuck on this one. Because I don't need the routine to be exact, but I'm not a fan of random changes at all. As opposed to the second one where it says routine doesn't matter too much, but sudden changes absolutely do. Right? See, the bigger problem for me is the sudden changes. Routines now don't matter much. My changes to my non-routine kind of makes me cranky. Yeah, I think that's where I'm leaning. Routines don't matter much to me, but sudden routines do matter. Like that's the only caveat that I'm going to add there. Is to me, routines do matter a little more than what is being implied there. Routines, yeah, they have some weight to them. As much as sudden changes? No. It's a sudden changes for me. I don't like sudden changes much, particularly now that I'm older, but I think it also matters that the stressors in my life at the moment are changing. Very loose routines, or routines all the same. Yeah. Like, nowadays, my routines don't have to be to the minute, right? That's something I have to be comfortable with now that, the physical part of my body is more falling apart than anything. I need my routine, sudden changes. I need a minute or several. Very little routine, you're tired. Basically, D&D and you on Twitch. Hey! Perfect. Yeah, my routines nowadays, stream days, if my body allows for it, That's the hardest part, is somebody who does have kind of routines in place, is that when the sudden change of I wake up and the body's like, nope, you can't move. Nope, you're not feeling well enough to do this, right? Those changes, while they may not be quote unquote sudden, they're still changes enough to my routine that it pisses me off, right? Like, there's nothing I hate worse when it comes to that than either not being able to not having enough of the strength even to have to put into my phone a notification to you guys that I'm not going to be able to stream, or well, no, that pretty much that, or just not, or just getting up and not feeling well enough to be able to do it, right? That is still a change to my routine, the routine that I've set for myself, right? Sunday, Wednesday, Friday. Sudden changes to plans will fuck me up. Sudden plans, not something I like. Making sudden plans, no, that, well, it's the same thing to me, right? That's 6 of one, half a dozen the other, in my mind. Either a change to, well, it's a change of plan, either way you look at it, right? You either are breaking a plan or you're making a plan. Not to go all tismy literal. This reminds me of us in BC last night. Sorry about that. Angie and I were being very, very fucking ridiculous in BC last night. I'm just going to put that out there right now. It was a shit ton of fun. We were being ridiculous. I will 100% cop to that. It was fun. Yes, it was. We were being utter fools, and I'm okay with that. All right, moving on. What do we got? 22 minutes. Finding number 3, the cognitive flexibility. This is the part that had a lot of the real detail to it. I just sat back and went with it. I mean, what other choice did you have? We were derailing from one track to another, and it was a hoot, I tell ya. Yeah, just let it happen. That's right. All right. So this part here is the most dense of the bunch. You know, like me. Okay. Sorry, I'm just checking, eyeing up my notes here real quick. Okay, so this is where the computer tasks come into play. Okay, so the first one that they had the kids go through was a card sorting task, where the kids were shown cards. They were told to sort them first by color, and then the rules switched, and they had to sort them by shape. And finally, they had to switch back and forth between the two rules based on a cue that they were shown. I would have lost my shit. There was no time pressure there, which was good, but the instructions were always spelled out clearly, again, which is good. But that tests whether a kid can switch strategies when they're explicitly told about the rule, or they're told to change the rule. Someone needed to change plan. You have plans to do something, and someone cancels them. Okay, but you're enjoying some me time, not doing anything really, and then someone wants to make a sudden trip to the store or go out to eat, something like that. Sudden change of plans. Specifically had no plans, and I was enjoying that. And then now, plans made, including me, and different kind of change. Awful. I see where you're looking at it from. Whereas I was kind of, I think to me it was the me time was the plan. But I get what you mean. All cards are the same shape, just different pictures. Well, apparently not with these cards. So that was the first one, was the card sorting. Next one, IED task, which is short for intra-extra dimensional set shift. So this one's a little trickier to explain. I had to go through this a couple of times before I could write this down. Here's the analogy. Okay, imagine a video game where you have to guess the secret rule for winning. Sounds like most video games nowadays. You don't necessarily... Well, no, nowadays it's to give you a fucking tutorial and then highlight it in glowing yellow. Sorry, that was a terrible analogy. Anyway, so the kid is playing a video game where they have to guess what the secret rule is to win. And the only feedback that they get was right or wrong after each guess that they took. No one tells them the rule in advance. They have to figure it out through trial and error. And then the rule secretly changes. And you have to notice that and adjust to it. That test was something different from the card sorting task, obviously. A kid can learn and relearn a hidden rule without being told what changed. Me time, ADHD, chaos, planless, no plan, just vibes, do whatever feels right at the time. And then something comes in, yeah. Yeah, whereas for me, that's my default, is the planless time. And just trying to take on the giant pile of shit all over the plates and whatnot, which is a chaotic mess in and of itself. And then if somebody wants to introduce a plan on top of that, so yeah, I guess for the me time, it's trying to make a plan out of having too many things to make a plan out of. But yeah, I get what you mean. Anyway, so that IED task, again, which sounds like fucking torture. Anyway, so the third one is, they called it the MTT, the multitasking task. So this one does add time pressure. Have you seen the Impossible video game? Is that what it's called? Is it like the song that never ends? But if that's its specific name, I don't believe I have. So the MTT, that one adds time pressure. Kids have to respond quickly to where an arrow is pointing. Then the rule changed to responding based on the arrow's position instead of the direction. And they eventually have to switch between both rules fast based on a very quick text cue. One sec. There, now you can post a link. Where was I? So yeah, they eventually had to switch between both rules fast based on a very quick text cue. So the test this tests, try the words. What this does is it tests their flexibility under a ticking clock, right? Which is a very different mental demand than the untimed card sorting task. 1 second, I'm going to pop that link there, and I'm just going to pause it. And we'll hold on to that for a little bit. That last one sounded like torture, because it fucking is. So it sounds like your average social engagement. Right? So, the actual result, okay? Both autistic groups struggled more than the comparison group. On easier levels of the task. That part was expected. On the harder levels specifically, the ones either involving a time pressure, which is the MTT, or figuring out the hidden rule with no explicit instruction, was the IED. Only the AuDHD group showed significantly more struggle than the autism group alone. On the untimed one, clearly instructed card sorting task, the autistic group and the AuDHD group performed similarly. Hi to us. Got 4 hours of broken sleep, COVID booster yesterday. Decided to hit us, the proverbial train. And any movement hurts and is heavy. I'm sorry. Lay there. You are under orders. Unless like today's topic seems to point out, unless somebody comes and fucks with your plans, don't move. Are you sure they didn't hit? Are you sure you didn't get hit by a bus?
I don't speak English. Fuck off.
A hidden rule keeps changing, and you have to figure out what it is. Social engagement. Yeah. It's a game of trial and error to the extreme. All right, we'll take a look at it in a few here. But yeah, that to me, that sounds like fucking torture. Like it totally is. Where if they tell you what, or, you know, if you have to figure out what the rule is, that's one thing in and of itself. But if the rule changes halfway through, and you don't know that it changed, no. No, thank you. On the hardest level of the multitasking, there was a clean staircase pattern. AuDHD kids made the most errors. Then the autism kids. Then the comparison group, who made the fewest. Straight line, worst to best. Desert Island is a game I haven't seen in school. Okay. Downstairs because need to portion sourdough. Get in the fridge before it spoils on the counter. Otherwise, nothing today. Yay. Downstairs is a let Winslow out. That's fair. Okay, so only the AuDHD group struggled significantly on the hidden rule learning task. And I could see why. The autistic only group wasn't meaningfully different from the comparison group on that one. But yeah, I could definitely see why. And I think I'm feeling ADHD rage on that, just describing it. But, so anyway, the big takeaway from all of this was that ADHD, again, doesn't make every kind of mental switching more difficult. It specifically showed up when either the clock is running or when nobody's told you the rule outright. If you give a kid clear instructions and plenty of time, wow, this almost sounds like an accommodation. But if you give that kid clear instructions and plenty of time, and autism alone explains most of the struggle, okay? But if you take away those clear instructions or add a stopwatch to it, adding a time pressure, that is specifically where ADHD becomes the bigger factor. So if you or your kid do fine with those kind of tasks, when somebody explains exactly what is expected and there's no rush, but it completely falls apart under a deadline, or when the rules are implied instead of explicitly stated, that's not laziness on our part. It's not trying hard enough. It is a documented specific pattern, as they point out in this study. Basically, the teacher says, I'm going to Desert Island. I am taking so and so and so. And students have to guess what the words. Then the students have to guess what to take to go. So, for example, apple, the rule could start with an A, or fruit or alphabetical order. They have to guess what the rule is. Oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds like shit. That really does. Hey, speaking of which, guess what never happened last night? Jason and I didn't record anything. Why? Because instead we set her up to stream. Okay, question. Time pressure tasks versus figure it yourself out. Figure it out yourself tasks. Which one fucks you up the worst? I figure that always a day, yeah. So yeah, time pressure or figure it out yourself. Which one do you hate the most? I can deal with time pressure. Yeah, figure it out is worse. Me too. Time pressure, I find... Jay says yes. Even better. Time pressure, I find that's where ADHD brain kicks in, right? Now you're under the rules of nice, right? New, interesting, challenging, or an emergency. Now you're under an emergency, right? That's where shit fires. But if you tell me that I have to figure it out myself, no. That one would be the harder of the two. Sup, Jay? How's work? I don't like time pressure in games and stuff. I need some constraint in general life. Or I'll just go do something else. Yeah. A little less threatening, but time is fuck me, fuck me, fuck me. Work be work, fair enough. A bit of both. I think it would depend on the amount of time pressure. Right? Like if it's something, let me try and think of something here like practical for me. Okay. I have got until 6 o'clock to get the dishes done. Something like that, right? Okay, I know what my time limit is. So I can try and plan to that accordingly. Now, this may not be the best example, but it's the first one that I could pluck out of my mind that's real world practical for me. Whereas, if I was told, okay, just clean up. You're not fucking telling me anything. Start him at 5:45. I'm a fucking moron. Hi. That's my name, too. Hoshi. What is up? Wait till 5:45, yeah? Well, it depends on how challenging the task would be. If it is a monumental amount, maybe I'd start at 5:30. I also have to take into consideration that I have physical constraints that I have to worry about. I have an energy tank. I have a gas tank with a giant golf ball sized hole in it that I have to worry about, right? Things like that. Aside from that, yeah, I'd probably start at 5:30. But yeah, if I was just told, okay, clean up, that tells me nothing. Essentially, you're not giving me specifics. Woke up, aw. A couple of people that woke up from naps to show up. I do something as soon as I have spoons, because I might not later. I do that as well, right? When I get a burst of energy, there are times I do that, and it gets commented on, which I guess is kind of nice. You know, but if I can feel a physical burst of energy, it's like, okay, I know that I need to change the garbage, or I notice that the garbage is kind of, you know, overflowing. I got a burst of energy, maybe I'll grab that and do that right now. You know what I mean? Love Metroidvanias, one of my favorite genres. But levels where you have to outrun certain death. They're always my most hated levels. The pressure of impending doom is what make mistakes that I wouldn't otherwise. When I finally complete, I usually find that I've not been panicking. Well, time constraint, I actually had plenty of time to complete the level, yeah. Yeah, clean up what? Where? What the fuck do you want me to clean? Yeah. Fine, I'll clean my D drive. Yeah, there you go. You clean your D. Depends on the subject. If something we have interest in, then time is worth possibly no longer be an interesting subject because there's not enough time. Do special interest dive. If subject is something we don't like or don't know, then figure it out is worse. Yes. And for me, clean it up is worse and tells me nothing. At this point, it would be quicker to clean my kitchen into a skip and buy new cookware and dishes. Subject equals task. Potato equals potato, right? Same thing. I get what you're saying. But yeah, for me, that would be the difficult one between the two. I wouldn't mind so much having the time pressure, again, provided it is not unrealistic. For me, I have to take into account the fact that I move at the speed of snail piss in January, and that I've got the fuel tank with a golf ball size hole in it, right? Taking these things into consideration. If the time limit allows for me to do what I need to do or to get there or to whatever, right? Then it's not the worst thing in the world. But if you are not giving me details, then yeah, that is a problem. And that goes for pretty much anything, right? She knows that she needs to give me details. You can't just say this ballpark idea unless you're, wanting me to like pick dinner or something like that. Here's this, ballpark it, okay, fine. But you can't say something like, okay, just clean up. I need the fucking deets. Well, damn, the ADHD stereotype, if it's time to wait until the last minute and operate in panic mode. Yep. Yep, that's not a just you thing. You know that. That's a very well documented, not only on paper, but in the community. Very, very many of us do that. With background in a restaurant where cleaning up after dinner has a meaning to me. So that's... Well, exactly. See, in your case, it is not so much a vague, okay, just do this. For you, you have already got the routine that, or anything that fits under that umbrella, right? That's your default mode in that case. That makes sense. I get that. That totally makes sense. But if you say that to me, it's not going to have the same meaning to me as it does to you, especially not with your background, right? I need the ins and outs. Duck's asshole before I can even think about doing. Always start the task 72 times before the deadline approaches. Make no progress. Ugh. Then close the deadline and get it all done at once. And I'm pissed at myself for not being able to do it before the damn deadline. Or you're pissed off at yourself for the amount of times that you had to do it and redo it and redo it and redo it and redo it. And then you look back at it and go, fuck me, I knew it. I was right the third time or the first time. And that's the one that I ended up repeating. Or is that just me? I don't know. Anyway, all right, Yellow Blinky. Did I come here for that? You fucking sure did. And you know it. Anyway, all right, it's that time. Grab a water, grab a snack. It's self-care break time. Do it. Just do it. Am I giving you a time limit? No. 3-ish minutes. Or something. Whatever, I love you. Time for a self-care break. Grab a water, grab a snack, hit the can, do what you need to do. We'll be right back.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Of the time, I have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about.
everybody.
Alright, apologies. I had to, I decided to post that video that I was telling you guys about earlier. Figured I would take the opportunity to drop that. Anyway. Okay, before we get right back into it, let's take a look at the vid there that, J Money there, that the Pitterman decided to share with us. One sec, gotta set up for this. Why? Because apparently I don't know what I'm doing. No, I know exactly what I'm doing. Studio mode, I need to set up my little browser window so we can actually see what the hell I'm looking at. Be a great idea, wouldn't it? I love the caption on this one. The most cruel Mario game ever. Alright, little pause on the tunes. Let's have a little look-see here, shall we? Alright. So this is what Pitter shared with us here. Impossible, Devil, Illuminati. All right, I'm just checking the description here. There is no description given for this. Alright. Okay, so this, you said this is called the Impossible game? Like, is that actually the name of it? Or is this like an ad for it? Or Cruel Mario? That's what it says. I don't know if the actual name. Okay. No, the caption on here. It's, yes, sorry Hoshi, it's a little cut off there. But the caption for the YouTube video is most cruel Mario game ever. Oh, this game. Oh yeah, I've seen this before. Oh fuck. Oh yeah, okay. The fuck? Oh, dude, that was bullshit. Jump over, jump quick. Okay. Oh. The fuck was that? Okay, so when you jump it, yeah, okay, when... Oh, dude. That was bullshit. Oh my fuck. Okay, there are people that are into games like that. You people are such masochists. It is insane. I don't know how people could be into games like that. It's a game where the rules change and you have to guess them. Yeah, so exactly, rage bait games. They're fun to watch. Yeah, they're fun to watch because you're not doing them, right? In the same way that when we were watching Jace's stream last night, okay, she was playing Hollow Knight, and she's in a brand new area, and she was like, oh, never known me either. Right, but she's in a brand new area, so of course, you know, exploration, you have to expect that there's going to be a little bit of anxiety with trying to figure out where you're going, what you're doing, stuff like that, right? But, like, she's wandering through, and floors are dropping out under her, and it's all in the dark, and new mobs are coming out of nowhere, right? So she's, like, she's peaking pretty hard, which, from my perspective... Okay, it was one thing to watch. But for her to go through it, right? She was anxious as fuck. Would I want to play something like that? Nope. Pass. But I mean, there are other people that's their jam, man. That's what they want to do. Power to you. Play what you want to play. That ain't for me. But thanks for sharing that, Jared, because that was like right on topic. A game where the rules are changing as you go along, right? Now, admittedly, learning, the difference there is for every step you take, you are learning what to do next, right? As opposed to when the rules just change and don't tell you what they are, right? It make no sense. When I got Jay's playing Hollow Knight, my one critique, and she'd probably do better if she slowed down a bit. I mean, you're not wrong, but you're not wrong. But I will share that with her for what that's worth to her. She's pretty good at taking in advice. I'll give her that much. But yeah, I don't know if you caught me saying earlier that she's decided that Thursday is going to be her Hollow Knight gaming night, and whereas Saturday she's going to play Deltarune until she finishes the first 5 chapters, which is fun because she voice acts all the characters. It took her a bit to get past that last boss. Yeah, but I mean, like, she was fucking killing it, like, literally, right? She was kicking ass on that boss fight. You could tell that she'd been paying attention and learning from previous mistakes. Hollow Knight demands a certain amount of patience. She's got the gotta go fast problem. yeah, she does. She and I were actually talking about it when we were having lunch here today, and discussing. She wants to go a different way to go back to this other. I don't remember the deeds, but she wants to go a different way to get back to a certain place, kind of thing, and how she's going to be looking up different strats and whatnot. She's all proud of herself because she figured out how to clone a save, and then so she's using the one save as her personal time and figuring out stuff on that, and then coming back to the stream copy. So I thought that was cool. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. Finding number 4 out of this study was, it's the part that kind of can make you change how you think about routines and stimming. So again, for those of you that want to follow along with the study that we're pulling this from, YouTube and Facebook, it is in the description. Twitch, it is pinned up at the top of the chat. And, okay, so quick reminder from 2 terms from earlier. Reminder, RRB, I've been trying to skip over that and actually call it the restricted repetitive behaviors, the need for sameness, and the socialization score, which was how well somebody handles social situations day to day. In the autism only group, kids with the higher RRB scores had lower socialization scores. More need for the sameness lined up with more social struggle. That sound familiar? In the AuDHD group, that link completely disappeared. Oddly enough, the restricted repetitive behavior scores and the socialization scores were not meaningfully connected to each other at all. So here's what the research might be going on. And this also needs to be a big caveat attached to it all. In the autism without ADHD, the RRBs might be functioning as a coping tool, so a way to manage anxiety and uncertainty by making the world more predictable. In the autism with ADHD category, the AuDHDs, those same behaviors on the surface might be doing something different. They might be tied more to impulsivity than to purposefully self-soothing. So the caveat, the researchers did not directly measure impulsivity in this study. This is their best interpretation of a pattern that they found, not something that they could prove directly. So it needs to be treated as a genuine, interesting possibility, not a confirmed fact, right? So we need to remember this is a caveat on this. And another important reminder, speaking of the misinformation and yada, 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 that when these studies point something like that out, we need to remember that if we're sharing the information, that this is not something that is strictly defined. It is not something that is strictly found in there, and that caveat needs to be addressed when people are, shall we say, making content about it or sharing articles or videos or information about it. If there's a caveat like this attached, they need to fucking point that out. Sorry, that was a personal rant that I just kind of went off to the side on. Can't imagine why I would do that. Okay, back to it. Why this might actually matter to real people as opposed to those who are just reading studies. If you think about a kid who lines up their toys the exact same way every day, or an adult who needs the same coffee order every single morning, fuck off, by the way. They need these things or the day just feels wrong. I'm going to pause here and I'm going to ask, do you guys feel this? If you don't have, for example, use the coffee order, for example. If you don't have, say, on the way to work, you always stop at Tim's or Starbucks or wherever the hell it is, or Dunkin' or whatever you do. Get your coffee, your exact same coffee, your exact same order, and then you head to the office or whatever, what have you. If you don't have that, does your day feel off? Does your day feel disrupted if you don't have that? You already know my answer because I've got a Keurig. Nadia. Yeah, I knew it was Nadia. My day can't start without a Coke Zero. All right, fair enough. That's fair. Gee, Nadia, do you feel a little called out there? Certain routines have to be in place. I'll back up just a touch for you there, Jay. What I was saying is, it was one of the findings in the article was that sorry, I'm just trying to find the part that connects to this directly. I guess my question was that do you have to start your day, I'm just using the coffee as an example, but say if you have a day where you have to go into work, do you have a certain routine where you say, whatever it is, stop at Tim's, Starbucks, McDick's, whatever it is, and get a coffee? You have to get the same coffee with the same stuff in it, because, I mean, everybody does, don't they? But the same order or whatever. Do you have to have that in place? Otherwise, your day feels off. That was my question. And I know it's a simple, like, it's not a defining thing by any stretch of the imagination, right? There are a lot of people that prefer to, and again, I'm just sticking to this example for the sake of it. There are a lot of people that would, when they go to, say, their job or to school or what have you, prefer to stop at XYZ place and get XYZ drink /snack /meal, right? But does it have to be the same thing? And if it's not the same thing, does it fuck your day up? I'll actually give you a good example for that. When I would have a day where they called me into the office to come and help with the media players, I would always stop and get a coffee. Now, whether it was, because we've got a McDonald's and a Tim Hortons kitty corner opposite sides of a roundabout. Okay? So it's whether I stopped in at the McDonald's, what time of day it was, whether I wanted to have breakfast or have lunch, or whether I wanted to go to Tim's and get a muffin and some donuts or whatever, right? Those things can kind of vary a little bit. Yay! Congrats on the bonus points. That would vary, right? So there was a stretch where I wanted to go to Tim's, because if I didn't have breakfast that morning, I would go to Tim's, I would get my coffee / iced coffee, again, depending on the time of the year, and I would get a vanilla yogurt parfait, I guess, and a honey cruller. That was my breakfast every fucking time. What would switch up about that? If I didn't feel like a honey cruller, maybe I would get an apple fritter, right? I would switch those two things up. But there were a lot of days where they just did not have the yogurt available. And that fucked my day up if they did not have the yogurt. Turns out they have now discontinued having it, which is an extra piss off to me because I loved it. It was a fantastic breakfast for me, right? If you don't know what it is, it's like vanilla Greek yogurt with, they had a bunch of frozen fruit mixed in with it, and then a little cup on top with like some granola, right? So you would mix it all in together. You got yourself this wonderful little breakfast parfait. I thought it was fantastic. But on the days where they did not have that available, that fucked me up. And then they discontinued it. No, the honey cruller is a staple. If they remove the honey cruller, they might as well like go out of business. That thing is a goddamn staple. They make Timbits out of those, man. They can. I don't stop anywhere. I don't do a certain type of thing, let alone in a certain way. I don't know. Fair enough. I love the new Tim's Frozen Quencher that has Pop Rocks in it. We got one of those for Jason not too long ago, I think. I think she really enjoyed it. Anyway, sorry. Back up to Jay here. 3 sips of hot coffee. Then in the freezer and ice. Take it out before I leave the house. Hop in the car. And I've gotten up early enough to have a whole hot coffee. And shit's just weird for hours. That is, Jay, that is a super specific. I'm not going to lie. I did not expect that. That is super specific, dude. Just going to recap Angie here. I don't have to stop anywhere. I don't have to get anything, any certain type of thing, let alone that thing a certain way. I don't know. Okay. You just don't have a routine for that. And that's fair. That's valid, right? It's just for me, I needed to have that, right? Because yeah, we do have a coffee maker at that office, but it's up a flight of stairs. And if you think I'm going up a flight of stairs to get a coffee, the level of want versus the level of inconvenience and physical pain, not worth it to me. No, thank you. On the way, no, but when I get to work, fill the water bottle and get a cup of, go to the room I'm in. If that doesn't happen, it does mess me up. So yeah, I guess my point being, you know, those little routines, right? If you don't have them, you feel off. It's become a habit. ADHD rebel in habit. Habits off. Shit feels fucking weird. That's fair. But yeah, I get that was the point I was going for. What is my note here? Go to the next section. Oh yeah, I mentioned that this could potentially touch on something personal for people, because it does for me. I think maybe I was just kind of using myself a little bit more in there. I need to stop taking notes like that express, hey, this sucks for me. Does it suck for you? All right. Let us move a little bit forward then. Next section is what actually predicts social struggles in each group. So both the autistic groups had noticeably lower socialization scores than the comparison group. Again, kids with no ADHD, no autism, and it was the higher of the bunch. Not higher, but like the larger of the bunch. But it was roughly 22 points lower on a scale where the average is 100. So there was no meaningful difference between the two autistic groups on that overall number. Angie, no, not at all. Not even when I worked full time. I was never that person. But I hated the uncertain factor. I can leave early enough to ensure traffic won't make me late. Fair enough. But to add a stop along the way, yeah, it introduces a lot of variables I can't control or account for. Yeah, too much uncertainty. Well, and that coincides exactly with what you were saying earlier about, you know, introducing a shift in the day, right? Adding that unknown element where it fucks up your routine, right? Your routine is accounting for having extra time or enough time to get there adding that extra stop in fucks with the system. I get it. Frozen pop quenchers make the thing SpongeBob and Patrick infiltrate Tim's HQ. Oh, a slushy. Let's put Pop Rocks in it. What Ian said is exactly why I do iced coffee from home as opposed to a Bucks or something. Yeah, as of late, I've been, if I have to go out or anywhere, I've been taking this. What fucked me up on Tuesday, besides the information from all the people, is I did not bring this with me. I meant to. Guess who left it on the counter? Guess who had a melted iced coffee when he got home? Well, some little ice chunks in it, but yeah. All right. So what actually predicted a low score was different depending on the group. In the autism without ADHD, it was the restricted repetitive behaviors and slower performance on the untimed card sorting task that we talked about before that were the strongest predictors of the lower social scores. In the autism with ADHD, the AuDHD kids, daily flexibility difficulties and errors on that hardest timed multitasking test. Sorry, that was a mouthful. They were the strongest predictors instead. On that second connection was noticeably a strong one. That was a fucking pain in the ass to not only write, but I'm pissed at myself that I didn't make further note on that. But yeah, that test that they had, yeah, go Feifei. But that test was torture to read, let alone think about. Caffeinated soother, yeah. Sorry, my mind went to a place that it shouldn't have gone there. Will I come back to it? Oh yes, I probably will. Anyway. Which one did I just read? Gesundheit. Sorry, Hoshi, I did read what you said. I just didn't read it out loud. Where you said, I go places and never want to order the same thing, then order it anyways because I can't decide on the different option. There are times where I kind of feel like I want to, shall we say, be adventurous with the menu a little bit, where they introduce something, but I don't. It's either I don't do it because it breaks my familiarity, it breaks my routine, kind of thing. Yoshi, Hoshi, but you were close. I'll give you an example, actually. I probably told you guys about that. It was on the day where I had a couple other appointments and whatnot. My dad came and picked me up. And so he took me to my appointments and whatnot, and then we did lunch afterwards. And he took me to A&W, which I do love a good A&W burger. But he decided he wanted to try their, I don't know if it's still on promo, but their Smash Burger. Which I'm like, I've never tried this before, but okay, if you say so. Because he was getting one, and I'm like, yeah, fuck it, I'll be a little adventurous. I was so sorely disappointed in that. Because it is literally just a burger that they smash even harder. Oh, they're lame as fuck. They don't even, like, A&W is one of those places. I'll give you an example for the Americans that have never been to an A&W. It tastes a hell of a lot like Sonic. When I went down to the States and I had a Sonic, we went to a Sonic drive-thru, or drive-in, or fucking whatever it is. It reminded me so much of A&W. They're not even that smashed. Ours were like fucking, like steamroll flattened. But yeah, they're not even that good. And yeah, I know, Jay, it doesn't apply to you. But like A&W has a specific flavor, right? You associate that flavor with the burger. It did not have that, and I was so sorely disappointed. Don't worry, in the corner. I'm just kind of here. No, that's all good. I just want you to know that I do see you. I know you're there. I'm acknowledging your existence because it is valid. but A&W has cheese curds and Sonic doesn't. It's because A&W is a Canadian company and knows what the fuck it's doing. Saw a dog and had to... You had to pay the dog, did you? Hey, puppy, come on over. Anyway. The meatless burgers aren't nearly as good now. They aren't doing Impossible anymore. Just... Really? They still are out here. To my knowledge, you would know better than I. You're the Impossible Burger guy, whereas I am not. But I am sure that I saw it on the menu out here. Again, I could be wrong and talking on my ass. Anyway, back to the point. Where were we there? Okay, so I did say that... okay, apologies if I repeat myself here, because I forgot which point I was on. In the autism without ADHD, so just the autistic group, the RRBs and slower performance on the untimed card sorting game, right? Strongest predictors. In the AuDHD, right? Daily flexibility, difficulties and errors on that hardest time game there. Were also the strongest predictors instead. So the plain point here, the size of the social struggle looks about the same between the two groups on paper, but the actual thing driving it does seem to be different. For the autistic only kids, it's more tied to the sameness seeking behaviors. I'll back up in a second for you there, Jay. I know you missed that part. Okay, so again, for the autistic only kids, it is more tied to the fact that they need to have that sameness. Merge with KFC. Oh, I have got... Hoshi, hold on to that thought and remind me of that in a little bit. For the AuDHD kids, it's more tied to how well they can keep multiple things going at once under pressure. And before I back up for Jay, one more piece. None of the 3 flexibility domains predicted social scores at all. In the typically developing comparison group, right? So they're the group of kids without ADHD and autism. That group. So let's try that again. None of the 3 flexibility domains predicted any social scores at all in that group of kids that did not have ADHD or autism. So the flexible to socialization connection appears specific to autism, not just a general flexible people are more social pattern that seemed to apply to everyone else. Now, to back up for Jay here, this study here was done on a group of, what did I say, 421 kids or something. This was done in Switzerland, and part of the way that they were testing these kids, and I'll just give you the quick numbers here for it. Okay, who was in the study? Oh, I'm sorry, it was 124 kids. My bad. 124 kids ranged from the ages of 6 to 12. They were divided into 3 groups. 39 kids had no autism, no ADHD. So that was what they called the comparison group, or the typically developing group. Okay. There were 52 autistic kids, no ADHD. There were 33 kids who were AuDHD. Okay. And what they did for the testing, for part of this testing, was they had them play games on an iPad. And the games that they had them play are kind of fucked up, in my opinion. Well, the one was. Where did I put it? One of them was a card sorting game. Yeah, the control group. Thanks, boss. That was what I was looking for earlier, even though they don't specifically call it that. They call it the comparison group, not the control group. Flexibility, cognitive abilities. Right, so they're cognitive flexibility. Because what they were, yeah, hence the quotes. What they were testing here is the flexibility, right, between the control group. I'm going to call it the control group, of no ADHD or autism versus strictly autistic versus AuDHD. They were trying to figure out flexibilities between these kids. Now, what that meant is daily flexibility, where where plans change, right? Last minute changes to plans, the need for sameness, the restricted repetitive behaviors, which is one of the diagnostic criteria for autism. But for the cognitive flexibility, don't mention ADHD kids are climbing the walls, looking at the windows, and playing speed metal on tablets. Yes, at double speed. But the first two, they asked parents' opinions. For the cognitive flexibility ones, they didn't ask the parents or have a questionnaire. They made the kids play games. Okay, so they put them on a tablet, and they had them play 3 different games. I'm trying to find where I listed the games. Cognitive, here it is. Okay. So the first game that they had them play was a card sorting game. So the kids are shown cards, and they were told to sort them. First by color, then they switched the rule, right? Because that's what they're trying to find, is like how flexible they are and how they adapt to the changes of rules. Because it's a comparison group, a control group is unaltered. Comparison groups are one of the ones simply different. Measurable way. So this group is a comparison group, not a control group. Technically, you are correct. It's just control group is one of those things that I think we're so accustomed to saying. And AST go, what the fuck? Well, and that's what they're pointing out here, right? So the card sorting game, easy. The kids are shown a card, or they're shown a bunch of cards. They're told to sort them by color. Then the rule changed, and they said that they have to sort them by shape. And then finally they switch back and forth between the rules based on a cue that they're shown. Okay? There's no time limit on it. And the instructions are always very clear. Great. So that tests whether a kid can switch the strategies and how well they adjust to explicitly being told in detail, this is what you have to do. Okay? For me, that's wonderful. Okay, the second one they call the IED task. And again, for those that are kind of half-ass lurking, yes, I'm backing up and explaining what the games are. So it's called the intra-extra dimensional set shift. The hell of it's a bit of a tongue twister. So this one is a little bit trickier. So it's a video game, kind of like a video game where you have to guess what the secret rule to win is. And the only feedback that you're given is you're right or you're wrong after each guess. Okay? Nobody tells you the rule up front. You have to guess what it is. And then the rule secretly changes, and you have to notice that and adjust your strategy. Torture is what I call that. And then the third one is the multitasking, where this one adds a time pressure to it. So the kids have to respond quickly to where an arrow is pointing, to what direction the arrow is pointing, and then the rule changes to respond based on the arrow's position instead of the direction. And it's based... Table meets wall at high velocity. Tablet meets wall at high velocity. On that second one, yes. But yeah, then the rule changed to respond based on the arrow's position instead of the direction. And eventually, they have to switch between both rules based on a very quick text cue. So at least they are being given a cue, but it's quick and they have to respond to it quickly. Like they have to adjust their strategy based on this quick cue. Right? So these are these 3 games that they made all these kids play. Social skills, their speed, nervous, sounds delightful. Kind of like me. That's what she said. Social experiments almost compared to... That's what we're used to hearing, yeah. I'm still called a change would fuck up a good number of ADHD kids, depending. And the thing is, that's kind of what we're... what the study is showing. Is that things like that, they do affect the autism, but less so the ADHD. Nap interrupted by power outage. No more AC or CPAP. Ugh. Well, that's one way to wake up terribly. So yeah, that's when the parents had their hands full. Yeah, I bet they did. Yeah. Okay, which part was on here? So if the kids had ADHD, they did better. Thing is, if the kids had ADHD, it had little to no effect on the outcome. Is kind of what they're saying in this. They were finding that the ADHD was not a significant factor one way or the other. Yeah. Again, the study is pinned at the top if you want to take a look at it. But I guess based on all of that, do you feel it's true that what makes socializing difficult? Do you find? Let me try and reword this. I worded it very poorly on here. Okay, does it feel true to you that that what makes socializing hard is different depending on what's going on in your brain? Even if that end result is socializing is hard. No, not at all, Jay. You guys know me. I'm happy to go back over stuff that... And I, honestly, I said right at the top that I was probably going to have to come back and go over shit, right? Those of you that were here at the beginning, I said it, right? I said straight up that I was going to have to come back and go over shit because I knew I was gonna. Because even I, as the one who, like, had it interpreted, we knew Jay was slow. Careful, he's got a sword, man. Just be careful. Yeah, no, I said it right at the top. I knew that even as the guy who, like, took the notes and wrote this down, I was having difficulty keeping up with it. So old, yeah. Me 3. Okay, so what am I trying to say with this question here? Socially hard depending on what's going on. I worded that so badly. I guess what I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to ask is, does it feel true to you that what makes socializing difficult, for those of us that do find it to be difficult, do you find that it's difficult, or that it's different depending on what's going on in your head? Even if that end result is just socializing is hard, do you find that that is true for you? Depending on what's going on in your head that day, do you find that socializing can be harder depending on those things? Again, that was a shitty question. A very poorly worded question. I don't know why I wrote it that way. There's some days I really question why I put that there to begin with. I guess in answer, Jay, to your one question, I did kind of write this down afterwards. Does this mean that ADHD makes autism worse overall? Which kind of, not really what you were saying, but it kind of has that same kind of like touch to it. The answer is not evenly, right? That's kind of the whole point of the study, is that it adds real difficulty in daily flexibility and in specific high demand cognitive tasks, right? But it adds nothing measurable to the restricted or repetitive behaviors that a lot of autistics like cling to. And it didn't change the overall socialization score compared to just autism alone. Are you asking if we think our mental state affects our ability to successfully socialize? I think maybe I was. Thank you for breaking out the dictionary for that one. Let's go with that. Do you think your mental state affects the ability to successfully socialize? And if you say no, you're wrong. No, I'm kidding. Ability to socialize changes based on the variables: energy, pain levels, social anxiety, etc. Yes, 100% for me. It does. Yeah, again, that was... I don't know why I wrote that question that way. I think, honestly, I think I was half through writing that question and I got fucking sidetracked and forgot to come back to it. That was a fail on my part. By the way, coaching sessions are available if you... Never mind. Head desk. Once again, I'm not infallible. just to prove, hey, look, I'm a human. I fuck things up. But anyway, going back to kind of what Jay was at. Kind of, but not really. Yeah, very verbose, very much so. Is that the ADHD adds real difficulty in daily flexibility in specific, like I said, high demand cognitive tasks. It doesn't add anything to the, nothing measurable anyway, to the restrictive repetitive behaviors, again, which is a specific diagnostic criteria of autism. And it didn't change the overall socialization score compared to the autism by itself. That's all right, buddy. You get sidetracked and never know it doesn't happen. It's one of the many factors. Yeah, brain extra squirrely makes things extra weird, which is great among other neurodivergents, but freaks out the normies. It can, yeah. To a large extent, socializing is really difficult regardless of mental state. Agreed. And to a large extent. Yeah, see, yeah, Ange and I are really, like, on the same page for a lot of things on here today. Like, that's where it is for me as well, right? Depending on mental state, obviously, yes. I think that would, forgive the pun, a no-brainer, that what your mental state is what your mental state is at is going to directly affect how your socializing abilities are, right? Because you're kind of going to be caught up in a little whirlwind of what's going on anyway. Mental state will lead me to social shutdown. Yeah, and same for me. Is that if I'm in a bad mental state, then yeah, you think I want to socialize? On a normal day, I don't want to socialize. Like, not with real people anyway. My mental state keeps me from socializing all the time. Me too, Hoshi. Me too. I feel like one giant tank of social juice. Most of us ended up in our club days, yeah. And now we have very limited supply of social goo. Touching on that, just again from my experience, and maybe this is something that you might be able to relate to, was post-diagnosis for me, was looking back and having the knowledge that I was fucking so masked up that... Meat space, thank you! Yes, that's what I mean, Angie. Is that I was so masked up back then and had no idea. The realization that spaz was the mask. That was something that was fun to chew on for a while. Is the realization that mask became a persona of its own based on the fact that he had no idea what it was like to actually be a human adult and was taking all of his information based on the surrounding environment that he was in. No, it's not. But it didn't stop me from kicking ass. No, it didn't. Me either, unfortunately. Just like a mute most of the time. Social battery is low, but on occasional I will be a veritable chatterbox in the right space with the right people. Yep. Social battery, I think someone suggested that as a topic one time. I believe so. I don't remember how far back that was, but... Anywho, my loves, my darlings, it's that time once again for a self-care break. So let's do that. Let's take a moment to take a breather from the mental and verbal assault that I'm giving out here. And grab yourself some water, a snack, all the things. You guys know how to do this. We do this enough. You know what it is. Wouldn't be problematic any more than usual. No, Jay, that's even in my... Hold that thought. Hold that thought. Even in my self-intro videos, I even say there that most people... And let me show you the brand new one. Well, hello there and welcome. And if you're new here, holy shit, hi. There's a lot more of you all of a sudden. I had a couple videos blow up over the last few days, so if you're one of the new faces here, here's the deal. The name's Tyler. I go by a lot of other names, but most people know me as Spaz or SquirrelDad. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a professional. I am, however, a double certified ADHD and autism coach. I mostly do it to help educate my community, but yes, I also take clients. I'm also autistic, I have ADHD, and I live with secondary progressive MS. So my energy levels are basically the most important stat on my character sheet. I'm a mental health advocate, an artist, an animator, a musician, a veteran DJ, an author, a giant fucking space nerd. I love Star Wars. I'm also a Mandalorian. So what happens around here? Well, we talk about everything. We talk mental health, we talk about nerdy shit, we talk about food. Sometimes I drop new music or details about a new book that I'm working on or whatever the hell I've got going on. Long story short, off topic is the topic. So if something I post isn't your thing, scroll past, no hard feelings. Just don't be a dick about it in the comments or I will absolutely humiliate you first and block you second. And now for the rules, and there's really only one big one that matters. Don't be an asshole. No ableism, no sexism, no homophobia, no transphobia, none of the isms or phobias. Full fucking stop. If you genuinely want to learn about ADHD and autism, welcome aboard the squirrel train. If you're here to tell me ADHD isn't real or some other uninformed bullshit, you're not going to last very long. We don't generally do religion or politics here unless it's something that directly affects us as a community. Other than that, no. There's enough division and hatred in the world out there already. This is not the place for that. My community is global and made up of every nationality, gender, identity, neurotype, and background that you can think of, and every single one of them, and you, are welcome in my house. Witty banter and joking around, always welcome. Ignorant bullshit, not so much. So again, welcome. Glad to have you here. Let's have some fun.
No use running. It's coming. Can't you feel it? It's evil. 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 It's here.
The beat goes on. The beat goes on. The beat goes on. The beat goes on. Down. Get down.
Alrighty. Howdy ho! Like my new little introduction video? Yes, it was made as like a a TikTok or a reel. In spirit, it was. Because, again, as I mentioned in there, I had a couple of videos blow the fuck up. And, yeah, I've gained a shit ton of new, like, Facebook and Instagram followers on there. So I kind of felt like a new introduction was in order. And, yeah, I figured, what the hell, let's add it into here, too, just for shits and giggles. So, there you go. I have like 5 things that I'm trying to say at once here, and I'm trying to sort through them real quick. Let's just get to the we'll do the meat of this and wrap this up here before I get to the other stuff. One of the other questions about this study is because it uses kids as young as 6 years old, and the question was, does this even really apply to adults? Which is a good question, right? Like, a lot of these studies that I look over and that we go over as a group does include a lot of kids. So do they pertain to adults? Given that they are usually childhood studies, a lot of them have found that whether the same patterns hold up in autistic adults, AuDHD adults, some ADHD adults, those aren't directly tested usually, unless, like the one that we did on Wednesday, which was a study that followed people for 18 years to explicitly see if those things followed them into adulthood. In a lot of the other ones that we go over, where they directly just do the tests on kids, in many cases, they're not directly tested as adults, right? So it's always a reasonable thing to wonder about, and I always try and point it out when we do cover a study that does affect, like, the results of the study do affect as adults. So I just kind of wanted to put that in there in case anybody was wondering, because I have been asked before, I can't remember which one it was, but I think it was somebody that was here, as to whether a specific study did, the result of it did pertain to adulthood. And I think, if I might be misremembering, because again, I don't trust my brain, I don't remember if that study explicitly pointed it out or not, but it was something I kind of flagged for myself to just kind of make mention. So what are some of the things that we want to take away from this? One would be that if you are, say, AuDHD, and someone treats your need for a routine or your inability to handle a sudden schedule change as the exact same issue, this study here suggests that they are not. They're not the same thing. Handling a sudden switch in schedule or your need to have that schedule. Okay? One tends to stay steady, regardless of the ADHD piece that's in it. Hi, Noodly. Water for everybody, by the way.
Eat something yummy, motherfucker!
But the one part tends to stay consistent regardless of the ADHD component. The other one tends to get specifically harder because of the ADHD component. So if a task becomes nearly impossible the moment that a time element is introduced, or the moment that you want a cookie truck, I kind of wish that YouTube had the ability to fire them off. There you go, Hoshi, cookie truck just for you. You just gave me something to think about there, Hoshi. Let me add that to my list real quick before I forget about it. Ever so quickly. YouTube. Or what's the word I'm looking for here? It's going to say things. I need a cookie after chasing 9 horses in the rain and getting their hair on me. Gross. I did write it down, Hoshi. Thank you. I don't know if again, another case of, did I word that poorly? Is that going to be one of those notes? I think we talked about this on Wednesday. It's going to be one of those notes where I look back at it and go, what the fuck was I trying to say? I don't know. I guess we're going to find out, aren't we? Okay, right. This is what I was trying to say. If a task becomes nearly impossible the minute that a time element is introduced, or the moment that nobody spells out the rules clearly, in my case, like I said before, that's not a discipline problem. That is not a matter of just try harder. It is a documented, specific pattern in exactly this population of people, according to this study. Okay? An important thing to remember, though, is the majority of the shit that we present, that we go through, that we have to struggle with, is not a discipline problem. Which reminds me of a fight that I got into last night. Remember Angie was feeding the trolls? It's not a discipline problem. It's not a matter of just try harder. It is fucking wiring. It is the way that we are wired. Okay? That's me just reminding all of you. It is your internal wiring. It's not just try harder. It's not you don't have enough discipline. It is how you are wired. And I need you all to remember that. And yes, I did get into a fight last night. I was feeding a troll on Facebook because, well, she was kind of a cunt. And I wanted to drive the engagement. Anyway. So here's some practical accommodation language that you can use. Is instead of asking for more patience in general, you can ask more specifically for either... give me a sec, I'll get back to you. Instead of asking... Okay, let me back up here. Instead of asking for more patience in general, you can ask for more, or for more specifically for more time or clearer upfront instructions. Now, this is something that I have tried to incorporate a lot in my home life. Send more medics. Because based on this study, you may not need both removed at once to succeed, right? Both of those hurdles, that the time element and or the time crunch, or the lack of specific instruction. You might just need one of those two pressures to be taken off the table. Now, again, in my case, like I talked about before, it is the upfront instructions. I need things specifically spelled out. That was one of the accommodations when I took the part-time job over at the, which is not even a part-time anymore. I digress. That was one of the accommodations, right? I'm sure many of you have heard me say that, is if they ever have a new set of instructions for me, they need to be emailed to me in detail so that I don't forget, so that I know exactly what I am getting into, right? How many of you can relate to that? Hi, Chris. So yeah, that's part of what this study is pointing out. For any of the parents of the autistic ones, this may give you some language for something you very well may already have noticed but couldn't name. That your kids' rigid routines or their meltdowns over a change in plans, they might genuinely be two different systems at play here, even though they look very similar from the outside. Something to take into consideration. One thing it's kind of worth thinking about, rather than just resolving today, but maybe something that you can take away from this. Again, I know my audience. If a routine or a repetitive behavior might be doing a different job for different people, that's a reason to get curious about what that specific behavior is doing for that person, instead of just assuming that it always means the same thing. If you want a task done specifically, give me specific instructions. Yes. Yeah, that's why I have to, like, I told him straight up one of the first days that he told me to come in and help out. And I told him, if you, first off, accommodation number one, I'm wearing my headphones. Accommodation number two, if you want me to do something, you have to send it to me in writing. Now, be that either email or written down, whatever. But the instructions need to be fucking specific. What do you want me to do? Because I will not get caught in that trap of, well, this is what I asked you, but you didn't tell me. Right? The same as what I was saying earlier about if my instructions are just, okay, clean up, that doesn't mean shit to me. But Papa, if they are told to clean up, they have their definition of that, right? As was mentioned before. So there is that. And that pretty much wraps up everything that I've taken out of this study. So anybody got any questions about it? I know that there were some things that I stumbled over, and again, I said right off the top that I was gonna have to that I was gonna have to learn English. I fucked up my joke even. That was bad. One sec. Apparently, I'm a little parched. Anyway, got any questions? Something specific, get me to do something. Get someone else to do it. Give me room or find another sucker. There you go. I do have a car in the train. I just saw, but it's in my other user. I believe, Hoshi, that car that you were referring to is from Patreon. It's either from Patreon or from membership on YouTube. I don't remember which. But it's one of the gold ones, right? Because Hoshi, if it's a gold one, then it's going to be you're either a patron, a YouTube member, a fourth wall member. And I have to add those ones manually. But if it's one of the other ones that follow, if it's one of the silver ones. Fucking dogs. How are you gonna have a job speaking? You can't speak. No shit. It's Patreon. Okay, yeah. Whereas if you did have a sub on Twitch as well, you would have a second car show up in here, because it would be two different things that the file is pulling for. Jesus Christ. Thank you for proving the point there. If you have a job speaking and you can't speak, This is why I have to have things scripted when I make videos. It's how I people at work. But yeah, that's why I also have to script things, because otherwise I trip over my lips and the amount of times that I have to re-record something or whatever else. Thanks, Diggs. Okay. Oh yes, and the book. Thanks for that, Peter. That's right. I did just release a short story. If you're interested in it, it's just a little one, but I thought it was fun. So hopefully you enjoy it. Filling in words are not here today, apparently. I'm not the only one, man. I am tripping all the hell over myself. That video that I just told you I posted is already over 11,000 views on Facebook and Instagram. Wicked. Thanks, dogs. Got it. Yeah, no, oh my god, that's why I muted. Because I was trying to tell them, like, go the fuck outside. Right? We absolutely are against them barking in the house. Especially, like, because they will bark at anybody who is walking out front, or if there's another dog out front, or if there's a leaf that blows by, or if they can happen to see a mosquito taking a shit across in the other yard. Like, it's ridiculous. And it's not just the barking in and of itself. It is when Django introduces his fucking that shepherd whine that he has, or when Sabine starts getting all talky, right? The roar, 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 like, you introduce those two things at once, and I feel like my brain is just gonna explode. One day we should all demask my stutter and show you how bad it can get because he's also trying to suppress it. I get it. 100%. That's how it's suppressing my speech impediment. Yeah, I try to, but I don't bother. Right? Like, you guys watch in real time how bad mine can be. Right? And I recognize that it is just getting worse. But again, that was another thing that was part of the unmasking and my realization that, holy shit, this is part of my speech, right? I don't know if you remember, one of the first things my diagnostician / therapist said to me was that when I came to her and I was concerned about the autism, and she said, I peg you within 15 minutes, because the first thing she noticed was your speech pattern gave it away. And I'm like, what do you mean? What speech pattern? But now, looking at it with that knowledge, I see it, I hear it, I know when I'm doing it. And do I bother to try and suppress it? No. I'm not going to bother. If I make a video, obviously I re-record so you don't hear that in, like, the presented video. But you guys who see me on the lives here, or hear me in a VC, or know me in person, yeah, you see it. I don't bother trying to suppress it, because, as you pointed out, it's exhausting. Yeah, I haven't got, especially now with the MS, I have not got the fucking energy to spare for something like that. So I just don't bother. Anyway, did you guys have any questions regarding the topic today? Or are we just going to close that off and continue on? And thanks for the treat point out there. Hoshi, specifically, since you made me think of something there, what I think that I can set up is I can set up an exclamation command specifically for you guys in YouTube that will set off the Twitch alerts, is what I was going for. And I think I can do that through Triggerfire. So, hopefully, if I remember, and I do get to it, hopefully in the near future, you would just have to do, like, exclamation cookie truck and it would set it off. So there you go. Something for the YouTubers specifically. Hopefully. We'll find out. Yep, that's exactly what it would be. All right, well, if nobody done got any questions or anything like that. Hello. Coffee and cookies? Oh my. Nadia. Exclamation set store on fire. Wouldn't that be an interesting command if I did that and it just like, just a wall of flames came up? It would kind of almost be like, you know, the interruption and stuff and things, and yeah. In the story, yes, not on stream. I get what you meant. I cast Fireball. I cast Magic Missile. I cast Greater Polycule. Did you mean polymorph? No! No, I did not! For those of you that were in the VC and remember that. Yeah, wrong stream. That's Jay's stream. I don't hand out fire over here. I hand out cookies. Yeah. That's what I do. Oh, so close. Almost. God damn it, Chris. We want fire. This ain't the demon house. The demon comes with fire. The squirrel does not. Sorry, that went 9 ways dirty in my mind, and I'm not going there. Oh, that just reminded me. Hoshi, there was something I wanted to address there. Where you said the A&W has merged with KFC. They did that, obviously, a very long time ago. This takes me back to... It's story time. And I know a lot of you have heard it. This takes me back to... What year was it? 2007? Yeah, 2007. Something like that. It was back when you could cross the international border without a passport. All we needed back then was like our driver's license. And we could come from Canada into the States and go back with no issue. Once upon a time. So we were going down to meet some Warcraft guild friends that we had that lived in Albuquerque. So we drove here from central Alberta down to Albuquerque, and we stopped at, where the hell was it? It was somewhere in Idaho, I think. I did take a left. I took many of them. I know Taco Bell was... up here, Taco Bell and KFC are linked. Like here in the city, we have a Taco Bell and KFC. Down in the States, even back in 2007, we stopped at... It was somewhere in Idaho that we'd stopped. Like after we stopped and stayed the night there, and then got up and continued on for the rest of the day, we stopped somewhere else in Idaho. And it was at an A&W KFC. And I'm not going to go into too much detail about it. I'm just going to say that I could not eat KFC for about 2 years after that. It was the weirdest thing to me, too, because first off, we're at an A&W order and fucking KFC chicken. Strange to me. So I did that. I got one of the meals. Getting it with the cornbread was strange to me. Was very strange to me. With a little thing of like mashed potatoes and gravy, that was fucking strange to me. Right? Up here, if you go to KFC and you order yourself a meal, you get like fries and a bun and like coleslaw and whatever else. The cornbread threw me off. Not in the worst way, but it was just like, that's weird. The part that really sent me was that the chicken was runny. I'll leave it at that, and I don't mean greasy, because we all know KFC is greasy as fuck. Underneath the crusty-ish skin, the chicken was runny. I'll leave it at that. Don't remember your metal alarm going off. It did go off, and thank you for reminding me of that. It went off, and it went off almost 2 hours ago. But thank you for that. I'm glad these things aren't time-specific. But it did go off. But yeah, anyway, that's my adventure with the A&W KFC in the States, and why I could not eat the stuff for 2 years afterwards. Because anytime I looked at it, anytime I thought about it, I just thought slimy. Yeah. Diamara! Oh, that didn't work. That one got stuck. Gross. Anyway, Mara, what's going on? Speaking of productive people, how is the art battle going? I saw, yeah, we jumped over and joined Tiamara the other day, and yeah, she was in the middle of doing an art battle thingy. Going well. Working on attack number 2. So, how do you pick your victims? Like, is it a like, I'll do one for you, you do one for me kind of thing, or how is it that works? Jasa had kind of explained it to me before, but again, I forget things. I don't know if you've met me, but I have this thing that makes me forget. Meds better do that. Yep. I ain't saying that Taco Bell was using horse meat, but when the court said you can't use horse meat anymore if you have been, the price of Taco Bell went up substantially. The flavor of their tacos did change a little bit. Isn't that why they in England have to have horse heads displayed on their taverns or something? As if they're using horse meat, you need to know about it. KFC and Taco Bell are separating here. Apparently the Taco Bell higher-ups want to be standalone. Really? No, I did not know that. That's not something I've heard about recently. Mind you, that doesn't seem to be something that would cross my timeline as of recent. Since we're all done with today's topic, I kind of want to, there's a part of me that kind of wants to go over and take a look at the comments on that, but I could figure that out after. Can't speak on that one. It's really whoever you want in terms of actual competition. You try to draw art for the opposite team. The more completed the art, the more points. Okay. Some people mass attack some folks. Choose targets on whether they deem necessary, popularity, character-like, complexity. If I go off which designs give me inspiration, this is all for fun with me, which is awesome. No, that's wicked that you're enjoying it. I have heard of, and I don't know if this is like this is going on for the month of or for the week of or whatever it is. I did catch one in the past where somebody was talking about it. I don't remember who was talking. I think Story Major was talking about it, if I'm honest. But I could be completely wrong. For the whole month of July, okay. I'd heard about it before, and I did hear about somebody that they were involved in like a mass attack of somebody else. This year's special, as there are 3 teams instead of 2. All right. Look at that. I'm learning more shit. Who knew? By the way, happy Disability Pride Month if you did not know. Did you know that there is actually a disability flag? I learned that 2 days ago. Surprise, surprise. And neurodivergence is a part of the flag colors. Who knew? Actually, I kind of want to pull that up now that I think about it. I did not know. Yeah. Let's have a little look-see here. Oh. Did I close it or did I minimize it? There we go. Yeah. Where are we? Disability Pride flag. Let's have a look here, see if I can find it. Nope, that's not. This is it right here. That's the one. Yeah, so this here apparently is the Disability Pride flag. Red represents physical disabilities. Yellow for neurodivergence. White represents invisible and undiagnosed. Blue stands for emotional and psychiatric disabilities, including mental illness, anxiety, and depression. Green is for sensory disabilities, which include deafness and blindness. And the black represents the anger and mourning over the eugenics and the neglect that disabled people have had to fight against. Ain't that a fucking thing? Part of the neurodivergent mafia. Mass attack means you go for a large piece with lots of folks instead of individual pieces. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, so what parts do I fall under? Red, yellow, white, blue, and black. Kind of green for like hearing loss, but how the fuck do I suddenly feel called out? Because I have a new flag for you to put on your display, I guess. Maybe. But yeah, I only learned that at the beginning of the month here. That's right, Massive Attack is a fantastic group. But yeah, apparently this was unveiled back in 21 by creator Anne McGill. But yeah, I only found out about this the other day. So now, because I know, you know. Yep, the theme from House, yep. Yeah, Jay, you are none of those things. No, not one thing as I paint you in black and blue with yellow sprinkles. I'm a dick, I'm a dick, I'm a dick. Anyway. Look at that, we learned some shit. We're all about learning the shit. All right. So, while I'm thinking about it, reminder, hey, if you guys have a specific topic that you guys want me to cover, you know how to do it. Either DM it to me. That's right, Array Learning. You can DM it to me or put it in the Coach's Corner section of the Discord. It's also a World MS Day. I heard about that. I heard it was the other day, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. I think I missed it. I know quite enough about this shit already, thank you. You're welcome. Question mark? Well, now you know more. May 30th. Yeah, it was a while ago. I know I missed it. That's all I know. I don't necessarily make a giant deal about the days, whatnot, because I know that I'm oh no, just about shit. Oh, okay, gotcha. Sorry, my literal meter dropped off there. So, Mara, who have you been attacking? I'm curious. Inquiring minds want to know. As I circle back to, if you have a specific topic you want me to cover, you know how to do it. DM it to me or put it in the Discord. Hooray. You're going self-distastic. As proven by today's study. Local llama, I'm currently attacking. Folksy do. These are not names that I know at all. But hey, there you go. Now I know. Also, hey, if you can, great. If you can't, I love you anyway. You guys know how that shit works, and you know how much I hate doing that. What have we got for music stuff? Again, a reminder, I posted it on Patreon. You want to see? Fuck yes, I do. DM it to me. I'll highlight it. And actually, you don't even have to do that. You can share the link here if you got it. You're a VIP. You know how to share links. What was I saying? Oh, yes. For those who follow along with the music stuff, with my music therapy, and know that we had a live concert. Both pieces have time lapse. Okay, cool. Oh shit, apparently I need to sign in. Yeah, I remembered my password. Alright. Yeah, for those of you that were following along with the music therapy and know that it was kind of a fun little thing for me to take my rock band and put them on tour live in concert in Belfast. And we had a 2.25 hour long concert. Well, I updated it for those who are patrons who have access to that. It is now a over 3 hour live concert. Live. Ain't nobody fresh like me. Alright, here we go. This is the piece that Tiamara just linked. My first art fight for Local Llama. Nice! Is there a story behind it that you want to share, or a specific reason for your design? And you said there's a time lapse in here? And why the fuck am I not following you on Blue Sky? What the hell? I threatened to turn them into a fence since the character can shapeshift. Ah, next post, scroll down. Ah, there we go, okay. Alright, let's see. Time lapse. Oh, I love those so much. By the way, another shout out for Tiamara. If you have never been in her stream and ever seen her do this live, it is awesome. Now, admittedly, it takes a hell of a lot longer than this because there may or may not be an element of neurodivergence attached to said person, as well as a bunch of live interactions in the VC. So there might be a little bit of distraction here and there. Am I calling you out directly? Maybe. But yeah, if you have... No, never. I know, right? It's fucking here. But yeah, if you have never been there to enjoy this live, do it. We like to raid Mara on a semi-regular occurrence. It does happen. No, that's awesome. So I assume you're going to be posting your next one when you're done, obviously. And this is from July 1st, so only a couple days ago. That's wicked. Nope, that is super wicked. Oh, I like it. Currently getting sketch layer in now. Right on. Right on. Are you, what's your stream schedule looking like this week? Are you going to be doing it today? Or are you doing it this weekend at all? I used to draw furry art in high school. Wish I never stopped. Saturday to Wednesday? As in Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? Wednesday, you look collab days with them, maybe? Yes, definitely. Lourdes, pick it back up. Do it. More important question. What is stopping you? Why are you not doing it anymore? Do I want an answer? Yes. Have Thursday, Friday off. Okay. I will do my best to try and remember that. Because we all know how well the brain works. Lost some skill over time. That happens. So have I. I know that I have. Right? Also, I have to introduce elements to myself for I can't. It hurts too much for me to hold something like that. Yeah. So what? You'll gain the skill back. Or to stagnate while actively drawing. Everything I draw now just disappoints me. Okay, that's fair. Yeah, let it happen. Let her buck. Know what I mean? Know what I mean? I can draw a period. I can also draw a comma. Yeah! I can draw a very good stickman. Yep, just as with anything. It won't get better if you don't actively use a skill, right? That's why I don't speak German anymore. By the time I was out of high school, I was fucking near fluent. I just didn't have anybody around that spoke it. So, the skill totally dropped off. And you know, if you can't do it the first time, yeah. Mood, understandable. But, and I was just about to say, Lourdes, you know what you should do is you should connect with Tiamara and you should hang out in that crowd a little bit. That's what I think. Deep dropping. That's what I think. Because
I just wanted to be a real squirrel.
Heads up, Spaz. You have 10 seconds to
fuck.
grab something to draw with. Nadia_269 wants you to doodle your choice.
Shit, I don't even think I have a pen handy. We're gonna have to rain check that one, because I don't even have a pen handy. Because from the last time that I cleaned my desk, I took all of the writing stuff off of it, and I have failed to put it back. I owe you a rain check on that one. Write it down and don't let me forget. And don't laugh at me. Yeah, anyway, as I was saying, I think, that even just hanging out in that crowd is inspirational, right? As well as comedic as shit, because depending on how many people are hanging with the VC, or hanging in the VC with you, it gets chaotic as hell. So it's funny. And that's why we like to raid into TMR every now and again. Because, again, neurodivergent, part of our fam, and yeah, artistic as fuck, and we love it. Challenge failed. Uh-oh. Oh, you mean the card? Yeah, it's going to be a challenge failed today, unfortunately. I don't have the shit here. Also get pointers and have workshop days. Yep. All about helping other artists. Yep. Like Lady Z got in there and has been doing an amazing amount. And has had incredible growth. Right? For those of you that have seen the art streams at Lady Z, which I have not seen in a while. I know she's kind of like doing her own thing. All right, Hoshi, you have yourself a great rest of your day. Thanks for being here. Yeah, we also may or may not write theme songs about Mara, because why not? Especially when their hubby pops in and says, hey, do Egyptian techno or something. Check Discord? What, right now? Okay. Oh my. That's your current work in progress? That's got naughty written all over it. Like, that has got the potential for naughty written all over it. Why have I not heard this? You haven't heard that? Sorry, just trying to get my shit back in order here real quick. And then, yeah, hang on. At least that's what the genre said, was Egyptian techno. Hang on. Pause button. Let me see if I can find this here. Library. Is it in here? It is not in there. I'm going to have to show you later, Jay. Because I don't have it handy. Giggity. Everything is covered, but definitely flirty. Ah, you know where you are? Yeah, I'll have to show it to you later. But it was something that her hubby, Murph, came in and dropped one day while we were doing a an AI music stream. Anywho, noticing what time it is, I think we're gonna have to get out of here. So, first we're gonna tickle defend, is what we're gonna do. That is the first thing we'll do. Second, boop. Sorry, as I just kind of like bounce around and shit. That one, do the moody there. Cool. Second, yeah, reminder that I will be back on Sunday. Do I have a topic for it? No, not necessarily. Will I get one? No, not necessarily. We shall see, I guess. Who knows? But other than that, yeah, I'm gonna get out of here. Get some dinner started, I think. And yes, so we shall return on Sunday. Until then, drink your water, take your meds, be kind to yourself. I will see you, loves, in the Discord. Remember that for those that are following along with Jasa, she is streaming tomorrow night. She will be playing Deltarune tomorrow. So if you want some highly entertaining 13-year-old voice actor in training enjoyment, I would say check that out. But anywho, we're going to bounce. I love all y'all. I will see you in the Discord. Take care of yourselves. Again, drink your water, take your meds, be kind to yourself. Thanks for being here. I appreciate the shit out of all of you. And I will see you Sunday.